What is a really good way to introduce people to one another? Do you know somebody that's really good at introducing people? What are some of the things they do when you're introducing people to each other? Shake hands, sign of goodwill, absolutely. If you're introducing two people who may not know each other, what are some of the things that you share? Something they have in common. That would be good. Your connection to them, absolutely. Yeah, why this person is important to you. Yeah. Anything else? No? How many of you are fairly comfortable introducing one person from one group of friends to someone who they may not know? You've done that before. It's pretty comfortable, right? How many of you are super comfortable introducing people to Jesus? Maybe a couple of you. Doesn't feel like quite the same thing, does it? It feels a little different. Well, I'm here to say that maybe it's not that different after all. This case study that we have from the book of Acts is Paul going to a new group of people. And it starts in verse 16. Can we have verse 16 up on the screen? If you want to pull out your pew Bible so you can see it a little more up close at your face, it's on page 903 in your pew Bible. We're going to look at this as a case study for how Paul goes about introducing God to these Athenians, these people he meets when he goes to Athens. So he shows up in Athens, and what's the first thing that he does when he gets to Athens? Before that, in verse 16, he sees that they have a bunch of idols. And what does that do? His spirit was provoked within him, and he was concerned. He was concerned for them. Now, when you're concerned for someone, what does that generally mean? Maybe you care about them? It matters to you? So Paul learned enough about these people that he cared about them. It mattered to him that they had all of these idols. Then what did he do? You already said it, Sharon. He went to the synagogue and he argued with them. Right. He started to talk to people. He went to the place where people were hanging out. So where do people hang out these days? Where do you hang out? Huh? Here? Yeah, maybe some of the time. I don't see lots of people here on Friday night, though, I have to tell you. Yeah. The bar. People hang out at the bar. That's accurate. Where else do you hang out? The bowling alley from the back. Absolutely. Where else? The mall. Where else? Your home. Where there's food. I'm hanging out with you. Absolutely. Paul went to the place where people were, and he engaged them in conversation. He talked to them. He learned about them. He learned what they cared about. He learned what they were up to. He found ways to translate, right? He learned enough about them to figure out a way that he could introduce this new idea in a way that made sense to them. What did Paul find later on in the scripture when he was looking amidst all of those idols? What did Paul find? He found one that he pointed out specifically. Yeah. He found an idol with the inscription to an unknown God. And he said, here it is. Here is my nugget. This is the thing that we have in common, right? This is what I'm going to hold on to so that I can explain this new concept to you in a way that you can understand. I'm going to put it in language that you can get. So he didn't go with some pat answer that he learned. He went and he learned enough about them to put it in a way that they could understand. And he said, hey, here's something that's important. I care about you, and here's something that's important to me that I think you should know. This unknown God, I know about that God. And I want to share that with you. Now, at the end of this reading, we get to see the fruits of Paul's labor. Now, did everybody rush and want to get baptized like Charlotte did this morning? Did everybody just run right over and say, yes, I believe. I believe everything you said. Nope. No, they didn't. And that's okay. Not everybody that you introduce is going to become best friends, right? When you introduce two people, that doesn't mean they're going to just buddy up and be friends forever. So some of them said, you know what? This is hogwash. I don't want to hear any more about this. And they left. But then there were other people. They said, you know what? That's pretty interesting. You know, I want to hear more about that. I don't know that I believe you yet, but I find it interesting. You know, sometimes when you introduce people, they might become casual acquaintances, right? Maybe we should hang out again. I don't know. It'd be interesting to get to know you. Now, sometimes those people may become friends, and sometimes they might not. Sometimes those people might become believers. Sometimes they might not. And then the very smallest group, they said yes, right? They believed what Paul said. And they became followers of Jesus. The smallest group. When we introduce people, there is that unlikely shot that those two people we introduced might actually become good friends, right? That does happen. Not every time, but it does happen. It's pretty cool. You see, this case study from Paul gives us a good example of what it's like to introduce people to Jesus. To introduce people to this God who loves us so much, that promises to be with us always, to care for us, to abide with us. Jesus says in John 14:18, I will not leave you orphaned. I am coming to you. And in a little while, the world will no longer see me, but you will see me. And because I live, you will also live. On that day, you will know that I am in the Father, and you in me, and I in you. They who have my commandments and keep them are those who love me. And those who love me will be loved by my Father, and I will love them and reveal myself to them. See, God is always with us. And God gives us the Holy Spirit to come into our lives and to give us power to step out in faith and do things that sometimes may be a little uncomfortable to us. So the next time you're at the bowling alley, or you're at the library or the bar or wherever you are that people gather, and the Spirit nudges you in that way, I want you to pay attention to the people who are there. I want you to learn a little bit about them so that you can find that nugget, that commonality, that entree point to make an introduction to someone who knows you and loves you and is with you always. Find a way to introduce that person to the love of God. I know it may seem a little awkward, but God gives us strength through the Holy Spirit that is always with us to introduce people, to share in this story, to share in this truth that God's love is for each and every person here. And no, they may not just jump right up from the bar and say, yes, let's go get baptized. But you never know what that introduction will spark and where that relationship can go. So my prayer this week is that we find the courage to step out in faith and make introductions in unexpected places. Amen.